Eric, thanks for joining. You've got Andy and John here, the usual suspects. We'll get going with a question from Andy whenever you're ready.
Eric, how do you look at this result overall?
I think everyone leaves, probably us as much as them, and everyone involved, players and staff, will probably leave with a sense of frustration after that game because I felt like it was open without it leading to any real clean cut chances either way. I felt like we did a really good job of sticking to the game plan defensively. We obviously restricted two top players on their day to very little, in the way that over the course of the last couple of games that hasn't always been easy for the opposition. So I feel like we did a really good job in that sense, and unfortunately we couldn't create as much as we wanted to in front of goal. I feel like they're a team that they're obviously scrapped, that they're really fighting for their lives at the moment. I think that was reflected in the way they approached the game. They were very tough to break down. It was a balance that we haven't often encountered over the course of this year so far, where we've got the lion's share of the ball and we've got to find a way of making chances with long spells of possession, lots of consecutive passes, and we made changes as the game went on to try and help us to do that. But ultimately, it's a stalemate, and it felt like that. It felt like it was going to take something special to unlock it, or it was going to be a mistake. And unfortunately, in our case, neither of those scenarios arose. But I think if you look back at the context of the last 7 days, 4 points on the road, a clean sheet here today, in a run up to two home games, and taking our run to seven unbeaten, I'm fairly pleased with that. I think had someone presented me that at the beginning of this week, we would have taken that.
Do you feel like having almost half the possession is almost a sign your team isn't playing as well as they have?
Mm, we're going to have to do both this year. We're going to have to be a team that is undoubtedly always going to be a counter-attacking threat. We're always going to be able to use big spaces the opposition gives us. And I feel like tonight we were probably a pass or two away from some precision on a pass or two away from being a team that can create with organised attacks and longer spells of possession. And I don't think it's a reflection of the amount of the ball we had was a reflection of whether we played well or didn't. I think it was the conditions that they set to an extent. We, of course, over the year as we move forward, are going to now encounter teams that are very conscious of the way in which we've had success over the course of the first 7 games, and it's going to be, or first 8 games, should I say? And it's going to be a process of iteration for us in that sense. As we encounter new challenges, as we encounter the opposition adapting to us, we will adapt for sure. And I feel like we showed some good signs today. I think if I was to review the game, undoubtedly I'll find lots of repeated short pass connections where we've got players really close to one another, where we're able to work the ball out of pressure, find solutions to bringing the ball from one side of the pitch through the middle and out the other. We just weren't able to find the final piece today. I think we had the better of it probably over the course of the first 45 minutes when it came to clean cut chances in front of goal, but weren't able to do that in the second half, and that's an area in which we're going to have to improve. And I will, of course, think about how the team is set up, the types of substitutions that are made in a scenario where we're encountering something that is maybe less familiar, less comfortable for us. And I'm interested to see where we can take that as a group.
What did you feel like were the challenges in breaking them down?
We obviously have two forwards that are very comfortable in attacking big spaces, and as the space reduces in front of goal, we are more reliant on central combinations, the way in which the eights link off the number nines, the way in which the two number nines can bring those guys into play, the intricacy of the movement on the last line. And I think we fell foul a little bit tonight of the early, what I would categorize to an extent as an enforced change with Bongi, in that he was obviously being targeted by the opposition on a booking in the way they moved Bernadeschi. We wanted to make sure that we didn't risk him picking up a second booking early in the game. So we ended up playing with DJ, who was much closer to a fullback than a wide player, and of course really solid defensively. But you lose a bit of that unpredictability that Bongi gives you in the final third. So we for sure have players that are really well suited to killing the opposition off in situations like that. You've got Robin, you've got Sam, you've got Joaquin, you've got Joe, you've got Bongi, you've got three forwards that are not they're not between the lines forwards, Sangbin, Kelvin, and Tani, but for sure, given a really good chance, given the opportunity to attack a cutback, they'll be there in good numbers. So I feel like we've got the ingredients, and we just need to work at it. But I don't want to step away from this game tonight letting that sense of frustration being the overriding feeling for the group and us, because I think we're in a really good place. The fact that we're forcing teams to adapt to such an extent is a feather in our caps, and now it's for us to go again and continue to adapt. And I'm adamant that we've got the tools to do so. And as I say, we're now 7 games unbeaten and showing some really positive signs. And I would also add to that we've played 5 of the first 8 games away from home, which is not easy. So to get to this point with 2 home games coming up, I'm really pleased.
You obviously focus on set pieces. Set pieces didn't really seem like they came off today. What was going wrong with those?
No, and that's another thing in terms of adaptation to the opposition. Of course, the opposition will spend a large portion of their week based on our set play threat, working on set play. So we sharpen their focus, we heighten the level of attention that the opposition have in those moments, and then it becomes another problem for us. So you see teams, I'm sure, focus far more than they would do so in comparison to playing other sides. For whom these types of situations might be slightly easier, for us are becoming really tough because teams are really putting a lot of effort into that. But I know for sure that we will continue to be a threat in that sense. And it's not just goals that set play moments lead to for us. It's territory, it's second phase opportunities, and we play for those really purposefully. So yeah, nothing hugely clean cut tonight. But again, that's not to take anything away from those moments, how important they are to us, and what they've given us over the course of the first 8 games.
I don't think Bernadeschi had a shot on goal until second half stoppage time. What did you feel like was working defensively for you guys?
Yeah, if someone had said to me prior to the game that we would have been so tight defensively that the opposition would have had 0.3 or 0.4 xg, and Bernadeschi and Insigne would have had a very little opportunity to combine, to link, to make their mark on the game, I would have been really pleased, and I would have expected us to score, and I would have expected us to win. Obviously, that hasn't been the case today. We haven't been able to find the back of the net. We haven't been able to create repeated chances in the way that we have done over the course of the first 7 games. But as I said at the beginning of this call, the level of detail in the execution of the game plan defensively was outstanding. And I think we've restricted 2 of the top players in their league who were gathering momentum over the course of their last 2 games to very little action in front of goal. And again, that's testament to the way in which our group approaches each game at the moment. And I think that was of course a huge contributing factor in us getting to the end of the game 0-0 and continuing our run.
Time for 1 or 2 more, Andy and John.
In a game like this where you really have to work to break the opposition down, do you feel like you need more from Robin Lode specifically?
Of course, Robin will be someone in those situations that we're really reliant on. I think he's one of the players in the league that has an eye for a final pass that can give you that unpredictability and play from within a structure, but also find ways of creating clever overloads on one side of the pitch, find ways of popping up between the lines. I think you'll have seen a really good link, they got a good feel for one another. Him, Joaquin, Sam Show when he comes on, Will up to that point. They like short connections. They like to attract the pressure. They like then to find the space through the opposition's midfield, out the other side, or in behind the back line. And Robin is one of the players in our team for sure that gives us most of an edge in that sense. So as the season progresses, the more we find ourselves in these situations, the more we'll be reliant on Robin. But I'm also not in any way wanting to take from the other very good attacking players that we've got. Yeah, we've got a group that I would characterize as very direct, very goal oriented, but we've got some players that can play the final pass with real intricacy and precision. And there's probably 3 or 4 of those across the front line, and that's really important for us.
A little bit of a surprise to see Sam come into midfield. What was his task? What do you want to see from him there?
Yeah, well, I think if you guys think back to Sam's last sub appearance at LA, a situation in which we were in not dissimilar conditions. We were having a lot of the ball. We were attacking our supporters' end at home, and he made a real impact then. And you see a cleanness on the ball. You see a real intricacy and a precision with the way he uses it. He brings the best out of the other midfield players that are close to him in that sense, and wanted to get another attacking player on the pitch. And I felt like it was worth that. It was a calculated gamble, but the roll of the dice in taking Will off and as a more attacking player on the pitch in Robin, in Will's slot, and moving Sam closer to the front line, and hoping that would give us a little bit of a spark or a connection that had been missing in the game up until that point. And I think he did fairly well. So yeah, I look back in hindsight as that being a very logical one, and I'm sure one that will bear fruit as time goes on.
All right, that'll do it for Coach Ramsay. We'll have Dayne St. Clair coming up next, folks. Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, guys. Speak to you next week. Cheers.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for the time, Dane. You've got Andy and John here. We'll get going with a question from John first this time. John.
Uh, Another clean sheet today. Do you feel like the defense is almost getting taken for granted a little bit at this point with this team?
Yeah, I think we're very comfortable in the way that we defend not only the back five, but we know that the guys up top do a lot of work for us, and we kind of showed some clips early in the week, just showing highlighting some of the work that they've been doing for us too. But I think us as a back five, we know that we're back six, if you include me, feel very confident in keeping the ball at the back of the net. And I mean, this is what our Loons are starting. What's this, a third, fourth clean sheet? So it's been a good start to the season for us. But in defending, it's something that you can never turn off. So next game we're gonna have to go again.
I don't think Bernadeschi had a shot until second half stoppage time. What did you guys feel like was clicking to keep him so limited?
Yeah, we know he likes to collect the balls in wide areas and then start to run at guys. So I think we did a good job of getting pressure out there early so that he couldn't kind of drift into the middle of the pitch where he's a lot more dangerous in terms of getting those shots off. So I think we defended as collectively between. I mean, all the wing backs he was switching sides, but I think the two eights on those sides did a good job of kind of closing in as well. That when he came inside that he was seeing more bodies.
You got a save on Jonathan Osorio and stop second half stoppage time. Is it nice to get one over your national team teammates so you got some bragging rights?
Yeah, I think that's one that I should always be saving for sure. But I think leaving the game with a clean sheet versus them is something that I'm definitely happy about. But it definitely would have been a little bit nicer to kind of get those extra 2 points for the bragging rights as well. But something I'm happy about.
Dane, tell me a little bit about who was there to see you play. I think we saw your mom on the broadcast. Tell me about who was there to watch it and what did it feel like to do it at home?
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a mess when you're the away team, and me and Tanny are trying to get as many tickets as possible. But I think we were able to kind of manage. But yeah, having my parents here, a lot of family friends, and then some of my friends here as well. I think we had a good cohort between me and Tanny. And of course, when you're the away team, the seats aren't always the best, but feeling them and knowing that they were in the stadium was definitely something that kind of probably gave both of us a little bit of extra push and motivation coming into today.
Your folks are Apple TV stars now. Are you gonna autographs? What are they gonna have to
Yeah,
do?
I'll have to tell them to rewind it and pin in when they were there.
Any more, John or Andy?
Sorry. Yeah, I'm good.
Yep, I'm good too.
Thanks, Dane. Safe travels home.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Thank you.